Cool. Back in the 80s, yes, the 80s when I graduated, 1982, we didn't have a club like this. So the fact you guys are thinking about this, how many are seniors? Juniors? Freshman, sophomore? Really good job for you guys, because you are so early. That's amazing. I don't think I really started thinking about my career until college. So what I would love to do is chat a little bit about who I am and do a time check.
12:45,
how long do you want me?
I would say.
Got it, perfect. I want to talk about just a little bit about who I am. In the process, it might spark some questions that you may have. I'll tell you a little bit about my experience at Bellarmine, what happened after, and how it got me to this place called Purestorage. So here's the cool part though. So I'm in marketing. So when you're in marketing, you have all the really good stuff. So for every question asked today, there is a prize. And wait, this is probably my favorite thing I was able to grab out of the marketing closet. So I want to encourage you guys to politely interrupt me along the way, and you will be rewarded as such. All right. The lesson you can learn from what just happened to me is that I was coming to see you guys. You're important to me, right? My CEO calls, need you to come by. So I just swing by a meeting. So you know what I did? I over-communicated, hopefully. I reached out to your leader. I reached out, just said, hey, I'm running late. Always remember that. That's a really good lesson, is sometimes things happen, but if you communicate your way through it, you're totally fine. Just like with a teacher, right? Something happens, you can't hand the paper in. If you tell them, it's so much better than just not doing it. So I always consider it my responsibility to give back. And I know you guys are being raised in that tradition. So to come here is part of my giving back, but there's also a reason that it works for me. You guys are all, let's say you're 16 years old right now. I need to work another 12 years, right, until I retire. In 12 years, 10 years, you guys are gonna be leading the companies. So this is, of course, the right thing to do. I should give back to Bellarmine and my community, but also this helps me because one day you are going to be the hiring managers and say, I remember that guy. I'm going to give him a job for the last 2 years of his career. So the first lesson, networking, really, really important. So at the end of this, I think the older students, you guys may have this, LinkedIn profiles. How many of you have a LinkedIn profile right now? Excellent. If you are a senior, I highly recommend you have one, and I want you to link to me. I'll get you guys my full name and LinkedIn profile. One of the offers I can make, my company does not have internships, but I'm happy to review anyone's LinkedIn profile, and I will also accept your invitation, and you will be connected to my network. I have over 1,000 people. You will find that to be an incredibly important tool to you as you move through your careers. Even in university, it's amazing. The first thing someone does nowadays is LinkedIn is basically the Facebook or the Instagram for business people. When I have a meeting with you, I'm going to go to LinkedIn and find out exactly who you are. So I do marketing at Purestorage. So Purestorage does something really, really cool. Inside of your phone, there's a ton of memory, right? You store all this stuff that's on flash memory. So the company I work for, these really, really smart engineers said, hey, we could take this flash memory stuff and we could put it in data centers. So instead of using spinning disks, those old things that you used to hear in your computer, you actually may be too young to remember that. Now flash is in data centers. So the company I work for, I joined as employee 800, and we've grown now to 2,000 people. I joined at about $100 million. This year we'll go to $1 billion. However, we're actually a small company in this space. It's a $30 billion market. We have $1 billion of it, thus we have 1/30th of the market. So there's huge upside to growth. I get to manage something called the CIO program. So the people who make decisions about our product, the CIO, the Chief Information Officer. So she will be making a decision with a very big budget on what products to buy and hopefully buys ours. So I get to travel all over the world and create events and content that speaks to the CIO. So just the way you guys like to read something that's interesting and attractive to you, I create all that stuff so the CIO gets excited about our product. So, what got me here? I could spend the next 3 or 4 hours telling you, but let's do the condensed version and I'll tell you the stories that are more fun. So after Bellarmine, no surprise, I went to Santa Clara. My dad wanted me to be an engineer. I was not cut out to be an engineer. It's just not something that was interesting to me. So I decided to get a degree in something called physical sciences. So it was combined science, physical sciences, and it was a great degree for me because there were classes I loved, like philosophy and anthropology, and classes I didn't, that I was able to get through. But what it gave me was Bachelor of Science, was sufficient enough to get me into the tech industry. However, the big thing for you guys is, at least my personal belief, pursue what you love. If you want to get into tech, which is a logical thing in this area, there's absolutely places for philosophy majors and English majors and history majors. You don't have to be an engineer. I am not, and I have done extremely well. Obviously, I'm not coding, I'm not creating a product, but there's so many other functions in a company that just go with your passion. I believe the definition of success is doing something you love and getting paid for it. And I'm incredibly lucky to say I'm very successful because I get up every morning and I can't wait. We used to say you can't wait to get to the office. Well, I can't wait to open my laptop because I work at home a lot. I can't wait to see what's in my inbox, what challenges I'm gonna have for the day. And I get paid to do that. So I consider myself very, very successful. So I got here, graduated from Santa Clara, and I took some entry-level jobs at various tech companies that you have never heard of. And I was really, really bad at a lot of the jobs. So I would get fired or I would change jobs. And that's the next lesson I would give you guys. In the beginning of your career, the first 5 years, do everything you can. There's no mistakes that you can make. Try everything. And eventually along the way, something sticks. So I was working at this computer reseller in sales and I was terrible at it. I had sold 0. But I loved to send out letters to people asking them to come in and buy the product. I loved to merchandise things, like put the displays. And I kind of figured out, oh, I'm not good at sales, I'm good at marketing. And that's the path. So after 2 or 3 jobs, and that's why I was getting fired and I was quitting, I found my path in marketing. And it's been great ever since. And it's been one of the best parts of my career, being inside of a marketing organization. First question, I like how politely you raised your hand. Yes, sir.
What's the difference between sales and marketing?
Very good question. Oh, you get that's you went right there.
Oh,
There you go.
oh.
I don't know how you're gonna carry that around all day. Okay. Different functions in a company, right? We engineers make the product, right? Then they hand it over to, I'm gonna make this broader, operations, who say this is the price of the product, this is how it will be sent to the customer. Finance, they figure out how they're gonna collect the money. Then you've got marketing, we create the message. So whether it's advertising, like banners you see on the internet, or the events that I do where I speak face-to-face with CIOs, that's the marketing piece. We get you excited, you want to buy. The sales rep then says, oh, you want to buy. They have a quota, they have to sell so much every month. And they actually go out and do the transaction. So they say, oh, you'd like to buy one of our servers? Marketing got you excited? Great, would you sign here, please? When you sign and then you pay us, the sales rep will get a commission. So salespeople make more money than marketing. Sales and marketing works very closely. But what does that mean every month for a salesperson? And it's what I was terrible at, sales. You have to have a quota. It's a tough gig. And I believe certain people are really, really good at it. They love it, they're competitive. And certain people like me, it's way too much pressure. So once I found myself in marketing, I worked at a couple of different software companies, and I found myself. Did you have a question? Absolutely.
Having multiple jobs those first 5 years didn't make it harder to get a job later.
So this is my personal belief, right? Your parents are going to have a belief. No, I think if it's a situation where, and in tech you often are laid off, no. But at some point you need to commit, right? So you can't be jumping around every year. So you're there somewhere for 2 years or 5 years. In tech, what's funny is it actually works against you if you're there too long. So if you've been at HP for 20 years, and then you want to switch jobs, some people will think, why have you been there so long when there's so much opportunity around? So early in career, I think you're okay. If you get a new opportunity, you go take it. Later, you decide you can be more careful about the jobs that you're taking. It's definitely the hat. All right, so the next place I ended up was a company called Next Computer, which Steve Jobs ran. and this is a story that I tell. I manage the executive briefing center. So this is a place that salespeople would bring their customers to learn more about the product. So every day, you guys know who Steve Jobs is, right? You haven't gotten that? Okay, thank God. So every day I would have to go upstairs and get him. And he was known for being a little crazy. So I would have the event running downstairs. I would go upstairs to his office, knock on the door. Actually, first I would check in with his assistants. He had 4 of them sitting outside. There were 2 personal, 2 for business. I'd say, how's he doing? How's his schedule? Is he running late? How's his attitude? And they'd say, he's in a good mood and he's on time. I'm like, great. So I would step in, knock on his door. He'd always be sitting on his computer like this. He'd say, yes. And I'd say, Steve, I have Time Warner downstairs. And it's a $2 million opportunity. They're looking forward to meeting you. Great, I'll be there in a second. So I would go and sit outside his office and wait, sometimes a minute, sometimes a half hour. That was what they paid me for. And I would walk him down the stairs. And when I walked him down the stairs, I would say, so far today they've seen this, and they liked this, and they didn't like this, and you should probably talk about this. I say, great, walk into the room. So the lesson there, and the reason I tell you that story is, he had a really, really mean attitude, and he never flamed at me. The reason is, I was always prepared. And I let him know that I was going to be the person who came and got him. I was going to give him a quick brief of what was going on. So being prepared is absolutely one of the most important things that projected my career. Yes, sir.
So kind of going back, you said you went through multiple jobs.
Yep.
But going through those many jobs kind of help you make connections that helped you later on?
Absolutely. Jobs I have today are because of people I met early on. Again, we didn't have LinkedIn in the beginning of the career. That's why every job you have, you're connecting with people. Because I guarantee you, you will circle back to them unequivocally. Yes, sir.
Sorry, actually.
No, you guys, questions are more interesting than my story.
So in terms of those connections that you were able to make use of later in life, how did you kind of keep those connections strong, especially after you moved to different jobs?
So before social media, there's a great line that still works, never eat lunch alone. Once a week, I try to go out and have lunch with somebody, so you stay connected. Now, we're so lucky because I can see someone getting a promotion on LinkedIn, I can send them a message. So it's kind of also be the people you like. You can't force a relationship. And you guys will learn this first time you leave school. You know, there's going to be the people that you will stay in your network. You've already asked a question. Are you? Okay, go ahead, start.
So before you said that, actually no, you said that you still work in marketing right now.
Yep.
So I was wondering what skills, like can you name probably 2 to 3 major skills that make someone good at marketing?
Yep. So there's many different types of marketing, right? We talk about all the different functions. Within marketing, there are different functions. There's product marketing. People who are really technical and much smarter than me, so they do the marketing specific with the product. There's corporate marketing. That's the people who might license Avaya to be Avaya Stadium. There's branding. So the marketing I'm in, which is typically called field marketing, because I'm really supporting the reps, you probably need to be highly creative, outgoing, and extrovert is usually extremely helpful, and strategic. So you need to be able to see what the ultimate goal is, be able to execute against it, do it in a very creative manner, and usually you are leading and driving all of it. So you need to be very extroverted to bring a lot of people along to get there. That doesn't mean if you are introverted, there's still a place. So that might be product marketing. You might work more behind the scenes. A new product comes out, you might help develop what are the key messages. What do we want to tell the world about it? So it's not as visible of a role, but it's a really critical role. You know, no matter what your skill set, there's always a place. You just have to make sure you're fine-tuning yourself to get there. And we're getting low on the hands. Oh, and by the way, we co-market with them, so that's why I brought it.
Which branch of marketing do you work in out of those 3?
Field, so I'm in field marketing. So I consider it the most fun because I support all those people who have those really scary quotas. And so we do a lot of incredibly fun things like co-sponsor Giants. We take customers out to dinners. When I was at the Formula One race in the UK, we'll go to the Formula One in Austin, Texas. We invited the Facebook CIO, the Tesla CIO, Delta Airlines CIO will all be our guests, and I escort them and take them to Austin. We'll do a day of talking about our product, and then we do 2 days at the race. So it is really a fun job. Again, I get paid to do that. So how crazy is that, right? Other questions? Yes, sir.
Going back to what you said about LinkedIn.
Yep.
So if you were to have an interview with a company, are there some other ways that they would like observe or learn more about you aside from?
Yeah, great point. You guys, it is so true. What you put on social media will follow you forever. Google yourself and see what comes up. You've got to do what works for you, but if I'm about to hire somebody, the next thing I do is do a full check on them on social. I want to see if every photo they have is with a martini. I want to know what their personal interests are. Is it fair? I don't know. Be really conscious that what you are putting out there is authentic to who you are. If you love the Giants and that's what you put out there, great. If you really love biking, then do it. But be careful. That's probably the best thing. Make sure who you're representing yourself to be in any aspect of social media is who you really are. That's the best advice I can give you. Who asked that? Yes, sir.
Talking about your job, do you ever get like homesick when you're like forever?
That's a great question that I've never had, and the answer is yes. I have a 10-year-old son. Oh yeah, full disclosure, you guys, I give back, but I'm also here purely to get my son in development in 4 years. I am working every possible angle. Please do not think I'm not doing that. I do get homesick, but the flip side is sometimes it's nice to have a night off from my son, but after a couple days, absolutely. Believe it or not, it's really hard to stay in hotels for a long period of time. Flying is not fun. Flying to London, it's 10 hours. So yeah, there's a lot of downside to it. So that was a really insightful question. Yes?
How far do you travel in your life?
So I'm very lucky. I do what is called global. So I'm all over the place. From Singapore to London. We travel everywhere.
Like how often?
Hey, if you love to travel, you can be on the road from Sunday night till Friday if that's what you choose in your career. Choose carefully. That's really, really tough. As you get more senior in your role, you really have the capacity to determine that. So I like to travel every 3 weeks. I like to be home for 2 weeks and then be away doing something. So I think as you get more senior, you can do that.
We do have like 6 minutes, 5 or 6.
Yeah, I keep checking the time. We have time for more questions. You guys will learn more by asking me questions and me telling you stuff. All right, I saw that hand first.
All travel. Do you have any time to like go to any sites inside?
Very little. Actually, let me qualify that. When I didn't have a family, I had tons of time. If I went to Hong Kong, I'd go 2 days early, stay 3 days late, be there for 9 days. But now I tend to go in, just like probably a lot of your parents, right? They go on a trip, they come right back to be there. So early in your career, try to travel because it's so much fun, and there's nothing better than a business trip on a business expense account. You've had your hand up for a while. Oh wait, sorry, Kat.
Like throughout your career, did you find yourself like in many instances like using your networks and like connections through Bellarmine to find business opportunities or job opportunities?
Absolutely. You know what's funny? Bellarmine's come back to me more lately than early in career. So my answer is no early in career. It was because you know what? It was usually people ahead of you are helping you. They become your sponsors. Now I think a lot of my Bellarmine peers, we've all been working so long, so much more now. Everybody you meet. So I am now part of your network. That is the best practice. Make everyone you meet part of your network. That will because so the job I had was from someone I worked with like 5 years ago. I saw that she was looking for someone. I messaged her through LinkedIn, and I ended up with this incredible job. Yes.
Was there like a specific event that made you realize that you really wanted to go into marketing? Or did you just
how
like
much
how
I
it
sucked at
fitted
sales. So that's what I mean by, so say you take a job and you do it and you think I'm gonna love this and you hate it. That is an early in career, that's golden information. It's like, wow, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer and I'm terrible at it. I'm gonna go do something else, hopefully before you gone to law school. So that's why try everything you possibly can. Yes, sir, Ray.
Is marketing responsible for like the sponsorship of stadium rights?
Yeah. Absolutely. And there's someone I work with who manages all that. She manages the sponsorship we have with Mercedes for the Formula One I talked about. It costs about $4 million a year. We do the Giants for about another $2 million a year. It's a really cool. It's just basically you're the sponsorship manager. So it's a lot of fun. Yes.
How long did it take you to figure out what you wanted, that you wanted to be in marketing?
How did it take me? You know what? It took me a couple of years. Give you that shirt, swap it out with something not right size. Couple of years. Sales is always one of the. So, yeah, it took me about 2 years when I had my quota was just it was so bad at it. So it took me 2 years of bouncing around. That's why people let me go. So it just was not good. It wasn't my passion area. Yes.
So when talking about marketing, especially for like tech company, where you're getting like income for your product and stuff like that, right? Well, what's the benefit, I guess, of all these sponsors and putting all that money into like, sponsoring these stadiums and
You
stuff
sound like
that?
our chief marketing officer. Yeah. So great question. So we call that the ROI, return on investment, right? So ideally, this is the formula we use. Every dollar we spend for marketing, we should get $34. Well, we should get $8 back in someone buying product, 1-to-8 ratio. So if you're spending $1 million, you should get $8 million back in revenue, right? Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. And sometimes it's easy to measure and sometimes it isn't. And that is the hardest part of marketing. Where should those dollars go and at different times?
But it's mainly just about getting that ad space and kind of pushing your product out there.
Yep, so that would be, but the problem with that is you can't track it. So someone saw it and might have felt good about seeing it, but can you say they actually bought the product? And that's a difficult thing. Hey, I want to say one thing to you guys, and take a couple more questions. I'm noticing a lot of the early careers at my company are doing some job rotations, and one of the things they're doing is going into digital marketing. So if anyone is thinking about going into marketing, I want you guys to just remember the word digital marketing. If I were starting over again, that is what I would be focusing on. And that, so if you go to college and you get a marketing degree, take 1 or 2 computer science classes. It won't kill you. Take the entry level ones and learn about this digital marketing because it is absolutely the wave of the future in terms of marketing. The other thing I want to caution you guys on, and this has come up in the last couple of weeks, artificial intelligence. You guys, your generation, and my son, the next 5 years, things are going to change dramatically. Jobs that existed are not going to be there anymore. Banks, bank tellers, all of that's going to be done. You're going to speak to a computer. So the nature of work is going to change dramatically over the next 5 years. You still should pursue your passions. You should still figure out what you're good at and what you like, but be aware of that. Because think about, am I choosing a path? Am I going to study a degree at school that job theoretically may not be there in 6 years? So I don't mean to scare you, but success is going to be so think about the Industrial Revolution to the next, those things happen over decades, right? You're going to see shifts in industries the way Uber did it to taxis. Uber did it in 5 years. You're going to see shifts in industry in 2 years, in 1 year. You even go to the bank, all of a sudden there are no tellers. It's all going to be robots that you interact with. So plan carefully. Don't be freaked out. Artificial intelligence isn't going to blow up the world, but it is going to change the way you guys work. And I think I would do you a disservice if I didn't at least plant that seed. We have time for one more question or not.
One more.
Give a round of applause.
Yeah.